What happens inside a person who spent months pushing you away the moment they wake up and find you gone? Pause and breathe on that question. Because you have lived it. You felt the cold distance. You received the short replies. You watched them build walls you were never allowed to climb. And still, you stayed. Still, you hoped. Still, you told yourself that underneath all that ice, there was a heart that wanted you. But here is what no one told you. An avoidant person does not realize they need you while you are standing right there. They realize it only after your footsteps have faded completely. That is not cruel. That is psychology. Let me explain how the avoidant mind works. People with an avoidant attachment style are wired to see closeness as a threat. Their brain associates emotional intimacy with loss of freedom, suffocation, or past pain. So when you try to get closer, their nervous system sounds an alarm. They pull back. They become distant. They tell themselves they do not need anyone. And here is the strangest part. They actually believe that lie. For a while. But the human brain is not built for isolation. No matter how independent someone pretends to be, the need for connection is baked into our DNA. Evolution made sure of that. Thousands of years ago, being alone meant death. So your brain never forgot that lesson. Even the most avoidant person has an attachment system buried underneath their defense mechanisms. It is just sleeping, and your presence kept it comfortable. Because you were always there. You were the safe background. The person they could ignore but never truly lose. Until you left. Here is the reward I promised you for staying until the end of this video. By the time we finish, you will understand exactly why your absence wakes something up inside them. More importantly, you will learn why you no longer need to wait for that awakening. You will see that their realization is not your responsibility, and that knowledge will set you free in ways you cannot imagine right now. So stay with me, because what comes next will change how you see every relationship you have ever cried over. The avoidant does not realize they need you while you are available. Why? Because need is not felt in comfort. Need is felt in lack. Think about air. You do not notice air when it is all around you. You notice it only when you cannot breathe. You were their air, and they treated you like nothing, until the moment you disappeared. Then their chest tightened. Their mind started searching. Their body remembered that humans are not meant to be completely alone. And that panic, that quiet desperation, that sudden awareness of emptiness, that is the moment the avoidant finally realizes they needed you all along. But do not celebrate too fast, because their realization does not look like yours. You would cry, you would call, you would pour your heart out. They will not. They will sit in silence. They will stare at their phone. They will feel something strange and uncomfortable in their stomach, and they will not know what to call it, because they never learned the language of longing. They only learned how to suppress it. So their realization shows up as confusion, irritability, or sudden nostalgia. They might text you something small, a random question, a memory, a vague message that seems to mean nothing but means everything. Do not fall for the small text, not yet. Let me explain what is really happening inside their brain. When you were together, their nervous system was regulated by your presence. Even if they acted cold, your availability kept them stable. You were the emotional anchor they never thanked. But once you leave, their system dysregulates. They feel off. They feel restless. They might even feel depressed without knowing why. Psychology calls this the stress of absence. The brain releases cortisol when a familiar emotional anchor disappears, and cortisol does not feel good. It feels like anxiety, like something missing, like a door left open in winter. So they reach out. Not because they love you differently, but because their brain wants the discomfort to stop. You are the medicine they refused to take until the pain became unbearable. That is not romance. That is biology. Here is where most people make a terrible mistake. They see the avoidant reaching out and they rush back. They think, finally, they realize my worth. So they answer quickly. They give their time again. They fall back into the same patterns. And what happens? The avoidant feels the discomfort disappear. Their system calms down. And within weeks, sometimes days, they go cold again. Because you taught them nothing changed. You taught them that leaving was not permanent. You taught them that your absence was just a temporary test, not a real consequence. If you want the avoidant to truly realize they need you, You must stay gone long enough for that realization to sink past their defenses and into their core. That takes time. That takes silence. That takes you choosing your own healing over their temporary comfort. But here is the deeper truth. The avoidant does not need you to save them. They need to feel the weight of their own loneliness. They need to sit in the room you left and ask themselves hard questions. Why did they push you away? Why did they pretend not to care? Why did they choose pride over presence? Those questions will haunt them, and they should, because that haunting is the beginning of change. Without it, they will repeat the same pattern with the next person who loves them, and the next, and the next. You were never the problem. You were the mirror. And avoidants hate mirrors, because mirrors show them what they refuse to see. Their fear, their inconsistency, their inability to hold on to something good without destroying it. When you leave, you are not punishing them. You are handing them a mirror and walking away. What they do with that reflection is their choice, not yours. Now let me take you deeper into the psychology of delayed realization. The avoidant brain is excellent at suppression. Suppression means pushing feelings down before they fully form. When you were together, any time they felt the slightest need for you, their mind would distract them. Work, hobbies, other people, scrolling, anything to avoid the vulnerable feeling of, I need someone. But suppression is not elimination. Those feelings do not disappear. They go into storage, and storage fills up. When you leave, the distractions stop working, because the person they need is no longer there to ignore. Now every quiet moment becomes loud. Every empty room reminds them of you. Every song, every place, every habit they shared with you becomes a trigger. And triggers break through suppression, slowly at first, then all at once. That is the moment of realization. It does not come as a lightning bolt. It comes as a slow leak, a thought they cannot shake, a memory that plays on repeat, a name they almost type but delete over and over again. You have already felt that kind of loss. You know how it aches. Now imagine feeling that ache when you spent your whole life pretending you could not feel anything. That is the avoidance reality, and it is more painful for them than for you, because you know how to grieve, you know how to cry, to talk, to heal. They do not. They only know how to avoid. And now they cannot avoid the one thing that matters most, you. But listen to me carefully. Their realization is not your rescue. Do not build your recovery on the hope that they will come back changed. Some avoidants wake up. They get therapy, they learn to communicate, they become capable of real intimacy. Most do not. Most feel the pain, suppress it again, and find someone new to repeat the cycle. That is not because you were not enough. That is because their wound is older than you. You did not cause it, you cannot cure it. So why am I telling you all of this? Not to give you false hope, to give you closure. You have been waiting for them to realize your value, but their realization was never the prize. Your freedom was. The moment you stop needing them to realize anything, you win. Because needing their validation kept you trapped. Hoping for their change kept you small. Wondering if they miss you kept you up at night. None of that serves you. Let me give you a new picture. Imagine waking up one day and not caring whether they realize anything. Imagine your happiness not depending on their text. Imagine your peace being so solid that their absence feels like relief instead of emptiness. That is not coldness. That is health. That is what happens when you stop outsourcing your worth to someone who cannot manage their own. The avoidant finally realizes they need you. Yes, that will happen. Maybe in a week, maybe in a month, maybe a year from now when they are lying next to someone else and thinking about your laugh. But here is the question you must answer today. Will you still be waiting? Will you still be checking your phone? Will you still be analyzing every small sign? Or will you be too busy building a life so beautiful that their realization feels like old news? Choose the second option. Choose it now, because the avoidance journey is theirs to walk. Your journey is to become someone so whole, so complete, so deeply rooted in self-respect that no one ever has to realize your worth again. They will see it immediately, or they will lose you immediately. Either way, you do not wait. You move. That is the difference between the person who gets over an avoidant and the person who gets free. Getting over means you still think about them. Getting free means you think about your future instead. And your future does not include waiting for someone who needed to lose you to feel you. So here is where we go next. We will break down exactly what happens inside the avoidance mind during each stage of your absence. We will explore why silence is the only language they eventually understand. And we will give you the psychological tools to stop checking, stop hoping, and start living. Because the best revenge is not their realization. The best revenge is your irreplaceable peace. You are still here. Good. That means you are ready to go deeper. Because knowing that an avoidant will eventually realize they need you is not enough. You need to understand the stages of that realization. You need to see the timeline. You need to recognize the signs so you do not misinterpret their silence as indifference or their small reach as transformation. Let me walk you through the 3 stages of avoidant realization. Stage 1 is called the relief phase. In the first days or weeks after you leave, the avoidant feels light, free. They tell themselves they are better off alone. They sleep better, they focus on work, they hang out with friends. They might even date someone new. This is not fake. They truly feel relieved at first. Because your absence removes the pressure they felt to meet your emotional needs. That pressure was real to them, even if it was just you asking for basic respect. So they breathe. Do not panic during this stage. Do not think your leaving did nothing. The relief phase is temporary. It is a psychological defense. Their brain is protecting them from feeling the loss all at once. Think of it like anesthesia. The wound is there, the pain is coming, but for a short while they feel nothing. Let them feel nothing. You have your own life to live. Stage 2 is the curiosity phase. This starts around week 3 or 4. Small things begin to break through. A memory plays without invitation. They wonder what you are doing. They check your social media. They hear a joke they want to tell you. This is not love returning. This is their brain noticing the absence of a pattern. You used to text at certain times. You used to laugh at certain things. Now there is silence. And silence creates curiosity. Curiosity creates checking. Checking creates attachment. This is the stage where they might send a casual message. Hey, how have you been? Or they might like an old photo. Or they might ask a mutual friend about you. Do not mistake this for change. It is not change. It is curiosity. And curiosity without accountability is just another form of avoidance. They want to know if you still care. They want to feel your attention again without giving anything real in return. If you respond too warmly, they will get their answer and disappear again. If you do not respond at all, their curiosity turns into something deeper. Stage 3 is the realization phase. This happens when their brain finally accepts that you are not coming back. Not because you are playing games, because you have genuinely moved on. Your social media goes quiet. You stop watching their stories. You do not ask about them. You are simply gone. And that finality breaks through every defense they have. Now they do not just miss you, they question themselves. Why did they push you away? Why could they not just be normal? Why did they lose the one person who actually stayed? These questions hurt. They hurt deeply. And for the first time, the avoidant does not run from the hurt. They sit in it. Not because they are brave, because there is nowhere left to run. You were the last safe place, and you closed the door. This is the moment they realize they need you. Not need you like a convenience, need you like air. But here is the tragedy. By the time they reach this stage, you have usually stopped waiting. You have healed. You have grown. You have learned that love does not require you to beg someone to stay. And you look at their late realization not with hope, but with sadness. Because you know that even if they came back, they would eventually repeat the pattern unless they did serious inner work. And most will not do that work. Most will just feel sad for a while and then find a new person to avoid with. Do not let that break your heart. Let it free you. Now let me give you the psychological reason why distance is the only thing that speaks to an avoidant. Their attachment system is inverted. Where a secure person feels closer when you share feelings, an avoidant feels trapped. Where a secure person appreciates consistency, an avoidant takes it for granted. Where a secure person communicates through conflict, an avoidant disappears. So normal love languages do not work on them. Kindness feels like pressure. Closeness feels like control. Consistency feels like boredom. But absence? Absence speaks their secret language. Because absence creates space, and avoidance needs space to feel. They cannot feel you while you are in the room. Your presence triggers their defense mechanisms, but your absence lowers their shields. Finally, alone in their apartment, with no one to blame and nowhere to hide, they feel the truth. They needed you. They always needed you. They were just too afraid to admit it. This is not healthy. You should not have to disappear to be valued. But understanding this dynamic saves you years of confusion. You stopped being confused the moment you realized their distance was never about your worth. It was about their wiring. And wiring can be changed, but only if they choose to change it. You cannot rewire someone who does not see a problem. So what do you do with this knowledge? You do not weaponize it. You do not use silence to punish. You do not wait by the phone hoping they reach stage 3. You take this understanding and you walk forward. You use it to forgive yourself for staying too long. You use it to forgive them for being unable to love you the way you needed. And you use it to build a filter. Next time someone shows avoidant patterns early, you do not chase. You do not convince. You do not hope they will change. You simply believe their behavior the first time. And you walk away while it is still easy. That is the superpower you gain from this pain. The ability to see emotional unavailability from a mile away. And the strength to choose yourself before you get trapped in another cycle of push and pull. Now let me speak directly to the part of you that still hopes. The part that asks, but what if he is different? What if my absence really wakes him up? I am not going to tell you it is impossible. People do change. Avoidants do become secure. It happens. But here is the condition you must set. Do not let his potential keep you stuck. Do not pause your life for a maybe. Move forward completely. Heal completely. Date if you want. Travel. Build. Grow. And if he returns months later, changed and consistent and ready to do the work, you can decide then. From a place of fullness, not emptiness. From choice, not desperation. But do not wait. Waiting is the silent killer of self-respect. Every day you wait for someone to realize your value is a day you tell yourself you are not enough on your own. That is a lie. You were enough before them. You are enough during the silence. You will be enough long after their realization fades. Here is your final instruction for today. Write this down. I am not a lesson for someone who could not love me. I am a home for someone who never has to lose me to know my worth. Read that every morning. Let it sink into your bones. And then go live your life like their realization does not matter. Because in the end, the only realization that ever truly mattered was your own. The moment you realized you deserve more than breadcrumbs. The moment you realized staying gone is harder but healthier than going back. The moment you realized you were never asking for too much. You were just asking the wrong person. That realization is yours. Keep it, protect it, build on it, and watch how differently the world treats you when you stop begging for a seat at tables that were never meant to hold you.